A tough loss and a big win for the Tampa Bay Lightning in 2 games this weekend might change the way you look at the way the Lightning season. But one thing it doesn't change for me is Nikita Kucherov is still my Hart Trophy pick. We'll go into details about this weekend's games and more on today's episode of Locked On Lightning.
You're Locked On Lightning, your daily podcast on the Tampa Bay Lightning, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Josh Sperber here, thanking all of you for making Locked On Lightning your first listen every day. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And if your team is the Tampa Bay Lightning, then this is the show for you. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets if you win or lose your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. And we're going to get started by talking about Saturday. Most people think it's for fighting, but for the Lightning, it is for going into overtime, a back-and-forth contest against the New Jersey Devils, where Nikita Kucherov scored the tying goal about midway through the third period before the Devils hit one in on a power play to take the victory. And that is just where we're going to start. Just a really tough way to end that game, because if you guys watched, it was the Devils passing it around, just a missed clearance, somewhere between a pass and a clearance. Not really sure what was going in the Lightning defensive heads there, but that's how it ended up in the stick of Steven Noesen. And it just hurts. You know, winning it on a power play is one thing, but when it's preventable, it's just tough. And especially because the Devils are a team that Johansson has already beaten once this year, and the Lightning as a whole have beaten them twice. And the special teams are something we always talk about as a big determining factor. The only power play goal scored won the game in overtime. Each team had a chance or two in regulation. The Lightning had 3 in regulation, but were unable to convert. And it's just a tough way to go out. But Nikita Kucherov at the end of that game looked like a man on a mission, and that's something that absolutely carried into the game on Sunday as well. I mean, I think he's just tired of losing close games. And this is just the kind of player that if the game's on the line, a switch just flips in his mind, and Kucherov just turns into a different kind of animal. And he has certainly been that for the Lightning, getting that game-tying goal late in the third period. But I think overall this was a solid game for the Lightning. Vasilevsky had played against these guys before. I don't think he did that. I don't really think he did a bad job. I think that, some of these goals, we're in parts of the game that just doesn't really swing the Lightning's way. Puck luck, I think, certainly helped the Devils a little bit. That Palat shot just kind of squeaked by, coming off of a Lightning defensive mistake. And it was the same thing with that power play goal. Just a missed clearance, and the Devils took advantage, and they were just able to put the puck in the right spots at the right times. And that's, I think, what made it different. But the overtime loss, I mean, it obviously could have been a lot worse. Lightning still pick up a point, but I mean, it's just another game that you feel like they were in this. I mean, this was a potential playoff team that the Bolts could have swept here. And it was the Devils that ended up coming out on top, and the Devils still now 5 points behind the Capitals in the Metropolitan Division. And I mean, this was just an opportunity missed, I think, for the Lightning. I don't want to go around saying it's a bad game. I think there were definitely some things the Lightning did well. A lot of times we've seen the Lightning it just seems harder for them to make shots in the points that they need to if they go down sometimes they can get a little bit discouraged, but that wasn't the case. The Devils really were in the lead for most of this game. They were controlling most of this game. It just really seemed like it was going their way in a sense from the start of it. It just seems like the Devils were the one that was controlling the tempo of the game. The Devils were the one that were controlling the pace. They were controlling, just it seemed to get the better opportunities for a lot of times. And, Markstrom certainly made just some outstanding saves on the Lightning players. I mean, there was a couple that he just picked right up off the line that you really thought were going to be, that the momentum shifting goal for the Tampa Bay Lightning, but it just didn't get to that. Markstrom did just well enough, I think, to keep the Lightning at bay, and the same can be said about the rest of the Devils. And third time's a charm for New Jersey, but I mean, it's just a lot of momentum lost. It's just a lot of momentum that the Lightning could have had going into a game against Pittsburgh, and now after that, another divisional contest against the Boston Bruins, which we're going to talk about a bit tomorrow. But I mean, this was a game that I feel like, other than that first period, the Lightning were really in it. They outshot in that third period is still one of the most impressive periods of the season to me. Outshooting your opponent 9-1 for the most part when it's your opponent that is leading by 1. For about 12 minutes in that period, it was the Devils out ahead, and then Kucherov's tying goal, really the result of a lot of those shots just poured in on Markstrom. So the Lightning definitely did a whole lot of things well. You love to see them at the end of the game start to take a little bit of control, but it just didn't seem like they had the gas in overtime. And the Devils, sometimes in overtime you see one team just gets new life and the other team just simply falls a bit flatter. And that was certainly the case. The Devils looked like a brand new team in overtime. They were moving the puck a lot better. They were, just executing better in overtime than it seems like they had for most of the game. But this was a game that I think the Devils certainly were in control of for a lot of it, but this was definitely a winnable game for the Tampa Bay Lightning. And I think the biggest takeaway is, this could be just a loss that is maybe even somewhat constructive. I mean, you got to know how to win and lose against the teams that you might be seeing in the postseason. The Devils are right now second in that division, but you never know who you're going to see down the road. The Devils are certainly one of the contenders. They've certainly been one of the best all-around teams in the NHL this season, and the Lightning have beaten them, and that's great. But, going through some of that adversity and knowing that you have a little bit of an edge, because you feel like in this game, if there was any contention in this entire series this season, it was this game. The Lightning were in complete control of that 8-5 win over the Devils. They were just utterly dominant, and maybe their best game of this season, the last time they played the Devils in Amalie Arena with that 4-0 win and a big victory for Andrei Vasilevsky. And then this one, it just goes kind of back and forth in overtime, and just a puck floats right into the perfect spot for Nosen, and there you go. And that's the game. I mean, this was certainly one that the Lightning could have won, but it just went the Devils' way today. And that is really all you can get from it. Lightning did what they could. They won the faceoffs. They took the puck away from the Devils more often than not. And it just, they did everything they needed to do to win, but just, right place, right time for the Devils, it seemed, with that last goal. And that was really it. But you like seeing Hagel get involved. Hagel and Kucherov both extended their point streak to 4 and 5 games currently. And you like to see them heating up, because this is certainly a tough stretch of the Lightning schedule. And those are two of the more key players when you look at this Lightning team. I mean, those are the two of the main pieces of that Lightning offensive engine. And that engine was very active, especially late in the game against the Pittsburgh Penguins, coming off of a Lightning overtime loss to the Devils. We're going to go over just how the Bolts bounced back when they took on the Pittsburgh Penguins back on Sunday night. From big upsets to game-winning drives, the NFL playoffs are better with FanDuel. because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $200 in bonus bets guaranteed, win or lose. The FanDuel app gives you everything you need for live bets, same game parlays, and so much more. And we'll have more betting lines for the Lightning and Bruins tomorrow, but make sure to check it out by visiting FanDuel.com to join today and get started with $200 in bonus bets. That is FanDuel.com. So make this playoff season unforgettable with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. So after a tough loss in New Jersey, the Lightning stayed on the road, another back-to-back, and this time it was against the Pittsburgh Penguins. Day after Victor Hedman became the 7th Lightning player to score 162 goals. The Lightning were in need of a bounce-back win against the Penguins, a team that they had already played and beaten once this season, an overtime win back in November. That game, it was Braden Point's takeover. This one, Nikita Kucherov, who had a hand in 3 of the final 4 goals of the game for the Tampa Bay Lightning, including the game-tying goal, the go-ahead goal in the second period and the go-ahead goal in the third period, and assists on Anthony Cirelli's empty net that made it 4-2 Lightning. So a 5-2 win after Rickard Rakell beat Johansson on a power play. It was the Lightning in control from there. Brandon Hagel with one of the nastiest moves that I've seen this year. A little hitch and a fake, just completely fooled the goaltender. And that, I think, was when Pittsburgh started to get on their heels a little bit, because after that, things just seemed to fall apart a little bit. Really, the only thing is that penalty kill streak being upended. The Lightning had not let up a goal on their previous 18 power plays, excluding the other 2 in the game against the Penguins, but the overtime power play goal ended a Lightning skid, or a Lightning streak, where they had kept 18 consecutive penalty kills scoreless. The game-tying goal by Kevin Hayes in that third period broke that streak. And I think the only concerning part about that is, it's a power play goal. Sometime those are going to happen, but it's just a matter of bouncing back after that. And the Lightning certainly need to do that. They didn't. They got the chance to do it another time after that, a hooking penalty on Anthony Cirelli, and they let it go. So they've got another power play streak starting, and it's good that they responded with a penalty kill after letting up a game-tying power play goal, because you never want to let up a goal on a power play, but it just seems to sting especially worse when it changes the lead a little bit. That game made it from 2-1 to 2-2, and then a little while later, Nikita Kucherov did what Nikita Kucherov does, just taking a puck from the neutral zone, little pick of the pocket, open lane towards net, and when it's one-on-one with Kucherov and you're a goalie, you might as well just walk out of the net entirely. And Kucherov has just continued to show that he is the best player in the league. I really, we're going to talk about that a lot more in the next segment, because I'm done hiding it. I mean, I'm done trying to talk about, the Nathan McKinnons and the Connor McDavids. I just don't think there's a better player in the league than Nikita Kucherov right now. Just watching that man play, I just don't see anyone using the stick as smoothly as he does, and coming up in as clutch situations as he does. He's just involved with every single play in the Lightning offense, and he really just makes that team hum. And I think he's one of the reasons the Lightning have been so effective scoring-wise. They have one of the best scoring offenses in the entire NHL right now. And a lot of that is because of Nikita Kucherov. In 39 games, he's got 20 goals and 42 assists. I mean, just some crazy numbers, and it's not even abnormal for him. I mean, this is just regular for Nikita Kucherov, and he's leading the Lightning with almost 4 goals per game, best in the league, and the 4th best power play percentage in the league, something that Kucherov worked a lot with Lightning coaches on in the offseason. So, I mean, he's just been spectacular. And again, we're going to go into that a little bit more in the next game. But I mean, so is Brandon Hagel. And Brandon Hagel, one of the 4 Lightning 20 goal scorers right now, getting his 20th, with Kucherov also getting his 19th and 20th in the second and third period of that one. Anthony Cirelli is now 3 goals away from being the 5th Lightning player to put up 20 goals in a season. And it's just really, it shows the teamwork and the chemistry between these Lightning players. I feel like most of their goals, almost all of them, are going to come off of multiple assists. You know, there's not a lot of unassisted goals. There's not a lot of even just one assisted goals. It's usually just the whole team, you know, getting in on just really good passing, you know, recycling, shuffling the puck around the ice, you know, moving it around, and they just do that really well. I think they have really some guys. You look at every single line, you look at guys like Brandon Hagel and Nikita Kucherov, and I mean, even Cam Atkinson, you know, just guys that can be in there. Nick Paul, just guys that are in there, no matter what line they're on, they're going to be able to just move the puck around. They're going to be able to cycle the puck and move it in a productive direction towards the Lightning offense. And they've got someone on every line. It's just a well-organized offense that can produce against teams like this. And this was a big bounce back win for a lot of reasons. I mean, I think I can only count on one hand the amount of times that the Lightning have been outshot and still won games. And I could certainly do that in games that they won. But most of the time you see the Lightning getting outshot, but regardless, you see a 19 to 33 shooting advantage. Which team do you think won? If you'd guess the 33 shooting advantage for this game, you'd be wrong, because the Pittsburgh Penguins shot 33 times against Jonas Johansson. He saved 31 of them. The Lightning scored 5 goals on 19 shots, though 2 of those goals were empty netters. So, you know, getting this kind of game it against a team that the Lightning had to come back and beat, against a team that is significantly better now than those 2 months ago when they last played, where the Lightning came back in overtime in Brandon Point's first game back from injury. He comes off the bench, scores the first and the last goal for the Lightning in that game, and almost single-handedly won it. This time it was a great team effort. It was just, I think, to me, that enough is enough moment from Nikita Kucherov. I mean, any kind of you know, being tired of losing close games and being frustrated of whatever, I mean, he let it all out. Kucherov just took that game over. And it's one thing to have the ability to be a game-breaking player or to take over a game, but it's quite another thing when you can just decide to take over games like Nikita Kucherov can. And we've seen time and time again, pretty much all of his multi-point games, I feel like, are just those kind of games where it's just Kucherov steps onto the ice and decides he's going to win that. It's a rare occurrence when you see Kucherov held scoreless, taken off the score sheet completely. That happened a couple days ago, and he's turned it around right back to normal on the road trip. Another 3-point game for Nikita Kucherov, and he is also now, that was his 10th multi-goal season, tied with Martin St. Louis for 3rd most all time. It's another record they'll probably break next year. He's got 2 more seasons to tie Vincent Lecavalier with 20 goals or more, and 4 more to tie Steven Stamkos. Both records I think he'll get in for 5 seasons. It'll be 5, I think, in 5 straight years. I can't see him going less than 20 goals in any of the next 5 seasons. So might as well just say now that in the next 5 years, if Kucherov stays on the Lightning and does what he has done, you can expect him to set the record for most Lightning 20-goal seasons. And Nikita Kucherov is the man of the hour. He's the guy that we're going to be talking about in the next segment. A true leader on the Tampa Bay Lightning offense, and in my opinion, a leader in a whole lot of other categories for not just awards, but in statistics as well. We're going to talk about Nikita Kucherov when we return here on Locked On Lightning. Did Rocket Money help you find any subscriptions that you forgot about or that you were paying for twice? Well, that has definitely happened to me. I had a few subscriptions that I didn't even realize that I was still paying for, and Rocket Money made it so easy to track them all down. It's like having a personal assistant for your finances. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. It brings everything together all in one place, whether it's subscriptions, your spending habits, or even the goals you want to hit this year. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscription. That's right. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved over 500 million in canceled subscription, saving members up to $740 per year when using all of the app's premium features. For me, one of the best features is the subscription tracker. I've used it to cancel services that I wasn't using anymore, and I've already saved a ton. Plus, with their goals feature, I've been able to automatically set aside money for my future, which means no more stressing about budgeting every single month. So cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/lockedon today. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon. rocketmoney.com/lockedon. And one final segment for the day, a name that I'm sure you guys have all heard a whole lot of, Nikita Kucherov. What exactly is he in control of? Well, I think he is. I'm going to make another case for Kucherov on the Hart Trophy. I think that he is playing on a Lightning team that a lot of people wrote off at the beginning of the year. A lot of people expected them to maybe even drop out of the playoffs, but certainly drop from the level of dominance and prevalence that they have enjoyed in the NHL over the last couple of years. And I think because of Nikita Kucherov, that just absolutely has not happened. Getting rid of a franchise player is never easy, but when you have someone that, frankly, said franchise player has even played with, who can take up the reins as that kind of star of the offense, is, everyone in the stadium knows the puck is coming to him and he's still going to get it done anyway, because especially on power plays, we all knew that was the case with Steven Stamkos, and time again, he just proved to be a lethal power play scorer. Well, I mean, that is the case with Kucherov. It is so rare to see him not score a point in a single game. And I've said it from the beginning of the year, and I will keep saying it. If Tampa Bay Lightning makes the playoffs and Nikita Kucherov puts up another season in the ballpark of where he was last year, 100 points might even be the bare minimum. He has to win the Hart Trophy for me. I just don't think there's any other way. I mean, you can talk about the impact of Brandon Hagel, who is, turned into a legitimate star in this league. And you can talk about Braden Point, who you can say the same thing about, and is a guy who's in the running for the Rocket Richard Trophy. You've got other stars. You've got other elite players surrounding Kucherov on this Lightning team, but he is the straw that stirs the drink. He is just the engine on that Lightning offense and their power play. And when you're talking about players that are most valuable to a team, I just don't see anyone more valuable than Nikita Kucherov. With Connor McDavid as a candidate people are talking about, you've got Leon Draisaitl, who right now is the top scorer in the league. You've got, the entire avalanche around Nathan MacKinnon, which I think part of it is MacKinnon, but Rantanen is someone else who has emerged as an elite player this year. I mean, you can look at really all of the MVP, all the Hart Trophy candidates, the main ones, if you're going to say it's MacKinnon, McDavid, and Kucherov. MacKinnon actually does have more points than Kucherov does. I just think that his line is leaned on a bit more in the Avalanche, and I think John Cooper does a really good job of mixing everything up. It doesn't seem like, obviously the first, second, third line, there's still a hierarchy. You can still tell which line is the first and second and third based on minutes played, but it just doesn't seem like, okay, this first line is just getting a dominant time around the ice. It's just shifted well, so it doesn't seem like Kucherov is spending that much more time on the ice than a Nathan MacKinnon or a Connor McDavid, and MacKinnon only has a couple more points than than Kucherov does. 68 points for Nathan MacKinnon on the season. He leads the league, also leads with 58 assists. And MacKinnon averaging 23 minutes on the ice this year, with Nikita Kucherov averaging 21 minutes on the ice this year. So an extra 2 minutes per game for Nathan MacKinnon has given him 6 more points than Nikita Kucherov. Plus, MacKinnon hasn't missed time. Kucherov missed a couple games due to injury. And the Tampa Bay Lightning still have played fewer games than anybody else in the league. They were the last team to play their 40th game this season. And the Carolina Flames also have played in 41 games. The Calgary Flames have also played in 41 games this year. That is it. Other than that, everyone else has played in 42 or more. The Lightning have games in hand on everybody in the league. Kucherov has missed time, and he is still putting up, incredible numbers. And that part is not a surprise to me. The fact that he's putting up numbers like he is not really an issue. I honestly kind of expected the numbers to inflate a little bit after Stamkos left, but he's putting up MVP level numbers, and those need to be noticed. And just because Kucherov is a guy who is not a big spotlight guy, he's not someone who wants the light shined on himself. He doesn't talk to the media. But I think just him staying out of the limelight better than most other athletes is, maybe keeping some pundits away from him in terms of his consideration for awards. But he's someone that I think if the Lightning make the playoffs, has to take the Hart Trophy. He's just, I think, one of the main reasons that the Lightning have 4 20-goal scorers, especially when 3 of the 20-goal scorers are on Kucherov's line. That Lightning first line of forwards, Braden Point, 25 goals. Jake Gensel, 21 goals. Nikita Kucherov and Brandon Hagel tied for third on the team with 20 goals. The last team to do that, the 95-96 Penguins, including Super Mario Lemieux, who Kucherov, I think, is playing the role of on this Lightning team. And, that it's incredible. Being in that kind of company doesn't necessarily mean you have 4 elite players on your team. In this case, with the Lightning, I think it does. You've got 4 players who are not just some of the best in the NHL right now, but also some of the best in their own individual country. You make a first line from American players, Canadian players, Russian players. I can guarantee Hagel might not be on Canada's, but points their first line center in 4 nations. Kucherov is maybe the best player not named Alex Ovechkin in Russia. And Jay Gensel could be a first liner on Team USA in 4 nations as well. Brandon Hagel has emerged into a star this year. I don't think that's add much on Kucherov. They're on a different line, and I think Hagel has just kind of come into his own, and he's hitting his prime, and that's fantastic. That might not be a direct relation to Kucherov if they don't play together as much, but it's just that I think it's just that extra motivation to follow up a performance from a line with 3 20-goal scorers on it. I think that's something that's that competitive edge that Hagel, I think, has to try and, keep himself up there with those big guys, because I'm sure he wants that kind of respect that the Points and the Kucherovs are getting with some of the other higher ups in the league, because Hagel absolutely deserves it this year. But without a doubt in my mind, I think the best player on the Lightning this year has been Nikita Kucherov, and I think that he should get the Hart Trophy as the NHL's most valuable player if the Lightning can continue their success. Because at the halfway point of the season, the Lightning would not be here without Nikita Kucherov. Without Braden Point, without Brandon Hagel, and maybe Kuch would be able to slide some passes to some other players who have filled in, and they'd be able to hit the same spots. But I just don't think that there is a player that if you take them out of your team will hurt more than the Lightning if they lose Nikita Kucherov. Fortunately, he is staying healthy, and fortunately, he's got the Lightning in third place with a chance to gain a little bit more ground on the Boston Bruins when they play tomorrow. That is a game we'll talk about tomorrow, and we'll begin on some midseason grades as well. But for now, my name is Josh Sperber, and I want to thank all of you for making Locked On Lightning your first listen today. Now for your second listen, make sure to check out Locked On Fantasy Hockey. Become a fantasy hockey expert and get the edge over your league mates with daily tips from Steal and Flip. Find Locked On Fantasy Hockey on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast. And on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast, please make sure to give us a like, a follow, a subscribe, really just anything to show your guys your support. It helps us when we see how many people are subscribing or downloading or liking our posts. So we really appreciate it when you show your support. 5-star ratings would help as well. But, the likes, the follows, the subscription, I'll keep asking for that. Thank you again so much for tuning in. We've got a lot more to come this week with plenty of Lightning hockey. But for now, I'm Josh Sperber, and enjoy the start of your week.